Yeah. You left your tarot cards at my apartment, next to 3 hoodies and a fake plant. Said, keep them, babe, they're full of answers. Funny, they just said, girl, he can't. You always talked in constellation, never once in plain old English. Every fight became a lesson, every apology unfinished. You called avoidance protecting peace, I called it disappearing. You called silence high vibration, I called it hard of hearing. Can I get a cosmic refund? I was promised something rare. Turns out all your magic powers couldn't make you self-aware. You sold forever like a startup, then vanished with the launch. Guess your soulmate subscription had a 30-day response. So keep your moon water, keep your sacred smoke. I'm investing in a future that isn't built on horoscope jokes. You had a journal full of downloads, mostly quotes from Pinterest boards. Told me every scar was sacred, still kept score like keeping sports. You said my energy was shifting, yeah, it shifted out your door. Funny how the room got lighter when you weren't explaining more. You think every coincidence is written by the sky. Sometimes people leave because you're exhausting. Big surprise. Can I get a cosmic refund? The return policy expired. I mistook emotional labor for a love that never tired. Now your aura needs attention, mine just needs a nap. Healing isn't posting selfies with unaligned beneath the app. If Mercury keeps taking blame, he should probably sue your name. Saturn called to clear the air, please stop saying I was there. Even gravity's exhausted trying to keep your ego down. NASA found your sense of reason floating somewhere out of town. I'll keep the sunrise, keep the playlist, keep the version that I grew. You can't keep collecting planets, none of them revolve around you. The universe is plenty crowded, I don't need another star who mistakes being mysterious for knowing who they are. I don't need closure, I have screenshots, and honestly, those are way more convincing than your birth chart.
I saw you down by the door, black coat, red cup, same old floor. You smell like trouble, knew my name. I should've left, but I stayed the same. Your laugh hit deep in my ribs, like a match on the soaked up bridge. I knew your hands, I knew that look. Still I fell fast, like a page from a book. Mama told me, boy, don't chase that. I heard the warning, then I looked back. One step closed, and the room went cold. And you took my heart like I was told. Wrong person, right now. Wrong person, I can't break out. I keep falling hard. You left the bruise where I kept my guard. Wrong person, say it again. Wrong person, you don't even care. I keep falling hard. You made a home in my broken heart. You were sweeping the smoking noise. It was all soft eyes and a dangerous voice. I wrote your name on the back of my hand, like that can make you understand. But you loved like a closed up knife, cut so clean and you walked off light. Now I'm pacing these empty days with your ghost in my mouth for a taste. Mama told me, boy, don't chase that. I heard the warning, then I looked back. one touch close and I lost control. You had the map and I paid the toll. Wrong person, right now. Wrong person, I can't break out. I keep falling hard. You left the bruise where I kept my guard. Wrong person, say it again. Wrong person, you don't even care. I keep falling hard. You made a home in my broken heart. My broken heart. My broken heart. And I hate that I miss your face, even now in this haunted place. All your almost, all your lies, still I reach for your afterglow eyes. Wrong person, right now. Wrong person, I can't break out. I keep falling hard. You left the bruise where I kept my guard. Wrong person, say it again. Wrong person, you don't even care. I keep falling hard. You made a home to my broken heart. My broken heart. My broken heart. Do they crawl again? Typing in the shadows like the keyboard is a friend. Throwing little jabs just to spark another fight. Feeding off the chaos in the middle of the night. Mocking every heartbeat trying to tear it down. Laughing at the pain like they're kings without a crown. But I'm done with the whisper, I'm done being polite. I'm coming with the thunder, I'm coming with the light. They hide behind the screen like it keeps them brave. But the truth cuts deeper than the lies they wear. We rise up strong, we won't let them take control. Like iron when we hit their soul, standing tall together as we break that hold. Truth hits harder when the lies unfold, yeah. Scrolling through the comments, see the poison spill. Trying to break a stranger just to get a thrill. Cowards in the shadows never showing face, but real ones rise, yeah, we take back the space. Every little taunt, every fake outrage goes quiet when we step up and flip the page. Cause courage ain't a mask and it ain't a game. You wanna throw fire, then remember my name. No fear, no silence, no backing down. We burn out their noise till there's no echo left around. We rise up strong, we won't let them take control. Like iron when we hit their soul, standing tall together as we break their hold. Truth hits harder when the lies unfold. Call them out with the light they can't stand. Make them face every word they had planned. Strength is louder than the hate they've stressed. You can't shake the fearless, you can't shake the blessed. Yeah, we bring the fire and we bring it direct. No trust survives when respect reconnects. Watch them fall when the truth starts taking control. Every coward disappears when the real ones roll. We rise up strong, we won't let them take control. Like iron when we hit their soul, standing tall together as we break that hold. Truth hits harder when the lies unfold. Yeah. We shout louder and they fade and they fall. We in the rain when we stand up tall.
Well, hello everyone. Excuse me. Welcome to another live show. Figured I'd fill a gap a little bit this afternoon with a little review and topic. Didn't even really intend this to necessarily go that long, but I figured, hey, we're here. Might as well do a little stream. Kind of a little bit of a slow afternoon. It's hot. It's hot again per usual. Looking forward to getting through August. Good to see all of you. Thank you for popping by today. Thanks for joining. This happened 2 or 3 months ago. I went over to Zonzi's channel and had an epistemology debate, I guess, of sorts with some, I don't know, there was some pre-supper guy in the room, some Van Tillian-esque type pre-supper dude who was just pushing all the wrong buttons. And HHS, who was kind of debating me and this idea of knowledge, and of course making the typical error many Christians do today just in their ignorance of the topic, where they muddle ontology and epistemology together. Whether or not an absolute objective truth exists is wholesale irrelevant to the conversation of a subjective agent's capacity to know it. It just is. That's just how it is. By the way, at some point here, I'm going to kick off this video and we'll let it play for a bit. I may have to run out for an ever so brief errand, so we may have a little bit of filler time for that. Play some of the information. We'll allow this to kind of be an open panel opportunity. Chaos, I see you in the back. I'll bring you in a minute, especially once I get the video going. This was a pretty embarrassing demonstration. I tuned in a couple times at a couple brief intervals just to kind of see. Someone told me he was doing this, so I went into a couple intervals to kind of see what he was saying. And when it comes to epistemology, Kevin is indeed completely wholesale ignorant. I don't think he's ever looked into it, read up on it, done anything with it, and it just shows that he has no clue what the hell he's talking about. I think one good key, and I kind of always thought this was true, I think generally Christians tend to believe this is true, this hermeneutical principle, but they don't seem to ever really apply it consistently. It's literally one of the most basic hermeneutical principles of biblical interpretation that you can muster up. And it's that your interpretation should comport to reality. That's a very core basic point. Something that pretty much all of them would generally say, yes, you know, if the Bible is true, it absolutely will comport to reality. We should only believe real things. And if this is the real truth, then it absolutely will comport to real. I mean, you'd get them to admit it, at least on a base level. Will you get them to ever really consistently apply it? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. It doesn't even really cross their mind half the time. And so when I first came across this and I saw Kevin doing it, it was embarrassing. It was bad. I really didn't even think it was worth a review, to be honest. But it is kind of a springboard for a little bit of an open panel. And we can see, this, I mean, at least I will say this, for what Kevin demonstrates, this is the mainstream level of your typical Christian, if not even these days, even your typical wannabe Christian apologist like Kevin here. These guys are completely out of their depth. And by the way, it damages significantly your ability to make sound, rational arguments to people that you're trying to convince. If your foundational framework of epistemology is completely bankrupt and incompetent and seemingly unjustifiable, and you can't even reach a common ground with your opposition, you're just talking into the air, just beating your head against a brick wall. So we're going to review some of this. Kevin's embarrassing and very, very ignorant take on epistemology while he's reviewing a bit of my discussion with HHS. I'll bring in Chaos here. Anyone else wants to join the panel in the meantime or at any point, you're welcome to. It's not like I'm super, super committed to getting through all of Kevin's horrifically terrible, ignorant arguments and objections. So this is more of a springboard opportunity. So I'm fine transitioning this to open conversation. Want to join and discuss this topic, or I mean, I don't know, even Calvinism or some of these other garbage theologies. Chaos is good at taking on Calvinism. So muster up some spine to deal with chaos here. He's available to refute the nonsense of Calvinism. So,
well, thanks.
Yeah, no, definitely, and you're fairly good at it too. I'll give you that. There are some of these beliefs that I think even just on a social level, are actually kind of toxic, and I think Calvinism probably qualifies.
I've actually been wanting to ask about that a little bit. There's a debate topic I've been wanting to have for a while, but like other platforms don't seem to get back to me on it very well because, But one thing I'd really like to do is like have a conversation of like, is the Calvinist God reliable? And I would make the case that it absolutely is not a reliable God.
Yeah, I think it's really kind of a monstrous deity in many iterations.
To defend his insanity.
Let me get this on the other screen.
Yeah, let's find out how horrific these guys' claims are. I mean, you obviously know because you've already seen it, but I can't wait to find out.
Well, I mean, I tuned in a couple of the points, and here's the thing: it's not like I haven't had this conversation with Kevin a couple times in the past, and I'll even ask him like basic, epistemology related questions, like, "Are you familiar with the Munchausen's trilemma or Agrippa's trilemma?" That the base of all epistemology is not objectively justifiable. Like, have you looked into any of this? And he just outright admitted, no, he hasn't. And yet he's got some infallible, absolute viewpoint and opinion on the matter. This is one of the greater demonstrations of arrogant ignorance I've seen. And sadly, this to me, with what I interact with, especially with Christians and their view of epistemology, I don't know if it's some westernized retardation or something, but
it might be.
I don't know what it is. It might be a culture thing, but they're just completely epistemically ignorant and completely unaware. It's anyway. We are going to get this going. Let me get it on screen here. In fact, actually, do not let this drone on unnecessarily. I probably increase the speed too.
Not a bad idea, yeah. When you're dealing with like something that's a couple hours long, it's good to kind of speed it up.
Yeah, 1.5 is kind of fast, but I feel like he also kind of tends to speak a little slow.
You could, if you hit the minus button there, you can actually slow it down a little bit, like to like 1.45 or 1.4 kind of thing. You don't have to choose between.
Oh, I didn't even know you could do that. Okay.
Yeah, I learned that trick while I was doing some research on my content.
That is very accurate, Ryan. That is very accurate.
Is it? Oh, nominalistic fatalist. Yeah, fatalism is just, it's a bad ideology in general.
You see, the funny thing is, Kevin will deny Calvinism explicitly anytime you ask him. And yet, when he starts discussing his soteriology, it is fiercely monergistic.
Fair enough.
Like very much in the Calvinist camp, because he's OSAS too. So he borrows his soteriology from the Calvinist model anyway. He just doesn't connect the dots. It's yeah, but we'll crack into this a little bit again. Open panel link is pinned. Anyone wants to join in on this topic? I'll probably turn the cam off to save bandwidth here. Okay, and we'll let this play a little bit. Like I said, I may have to run out for an ever so brief errand here in a few minutes, but if not, I'll stick around, but if I do, I'll just let this play. So, but the panel is open. You guys are coming back and I'll let you in. If anyone wants to comment on this or any of these other weird garbage topics, we're open for it today.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, Kevin, let's get at it. Is this? Oh, okay. Hold on. There we go.
I guess you can call it a debate between a guy that calls himself Smoky Saint, who is now identifying as an agnostic, and another fellow Christian YouTuber by the name of His Humble Servant. And they were talking about knowledge and like, can we know things for certain? And Smokey was arguing that you can't really know anything for certain, right? And so I kind of wanted to debunk this idea, because if God says something, you can be assured that it is true, because God claims to be truth revealing, and everything he says is therefore necessarily true, right? So it's impossible for God to lie. The Bible also says that. So actually, why don't I establish that first?
We're already, and you can see where we're already starting on the foot of pure ignorance of what's even being debated. This is the problem I keep talking, and you guys will see this. I'll just tell you this, because this ultimately is Kevin's whole problem this entire time, is this brain dead moron cannot parse nor understand the difference between ontology and epistemology. Right. Whether or not there is an objective truth has no bearing on a subjective agent's capacity to know it and at what level they can know anything. These are two completely separate conversations. So Kevin will take my argument of the subjective agent is fallible and therefore cannot possess infallible knowledge and therefore cannot possess an infallible claim of truth. That's the argument from the fallible agent side. He takes that to mean, Smokey's denying that there's no objective truth at all. No, I'm not. No, I am not. That is a completely different conversation. See, this is the problem. Kevin, the first minute of talking,
you've already made a mistake.
He has no clue what the hell is even being debated that he's reviewing, that he claims to be debunking. 1 minute in, and he shows he doesn't even know what the hell is even being debated that he's supposedly debunking.
And that's a sad.
Do you see why I said this is a waste of time to even really review? Honestly, you see why I said this?
Yeah, I mean, it's like there comes a point where it's like I might even beg you to see if there's anything else we could review at this rate, because it's like, yikes. I mean,
I know 1 minute in. One minute in, and we spend 1 minute in, and we don't know the difference between ontology and epistemology, but we're going to debunk me on epistemology.
Right.
1 minute in. Absolutely astounding. Absolutely. I may move to something else. I don't know. I might look around and see if there's something else.
Before I get into...
Again, like I said, it's embarrassing. This is why I watched this thing. I pulled up into a couple moments in this debate. I'm like, Kevin, you have no clue what the hell you're talking about. And you're posturing to this little mini crowd of ignoramuses that you guys are possessing some infallible, absolute, objective knowledge to the level of God himself. Come on. The arrogance, not only the arrogance inside the ignorance of the topic, but the arrogance to be able to even make such a claim to have a capacity of the knowledge of objective truth equivalent to the divine himself. Fuck's sakes. I know, right? 1 minute has got to be a record. That's what I'm talking about. Like, my God, the guy who shows he doesn't know what the hell he's talking about in the first minute.
The video. Believe on the Lord Jesus Christ alone. Kevin, there are more variables to someone being stuck in a false doctrine than a BW ignorant babe. In a seasoned believer, you act as though you can never be conned into buying to something. Well, no, that's not true. I think people can be deceived, for sure. I think Christians can adapt to false doctrines, but if it's something that's a fundamental or a core tenet of the faith, I don't believe God leaves you there, right? Because Jude tells us that God keeps us and he's able to keep us from falling. And I'd argue that if someone is digging their heels into a false God and a false gospel, dogmatically, that is someone that has fallen from grace. Therefore, they were not kept by God, and therefore they were not born again. Okay. 1 John 2:19, they went out from us because it would be made obvious that they were not of us, because if they were of us,
there was a time. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, dude, if you read the whole book of 1 John 2, I mean the whole chapter of 1 John 2, he also talks about how anyone who says that Christ has not come in the flesh is a liar and not of God. This chapter is actually dealing with an early form of proto-Gnosticism that was denying that Christ had come in the flesh. So this isn't even addressing all people who leave the faith. This is addressing a very specific form of heretical teachings.
Indeed. Absolutely. That's true.
they would have no doubt have continued with us, but they left. They went out. Let it become.
Hey, let me tell you something. When I was still very confident in the Christian faith and, really, really assured and persuaded and, not in as much of a difficult position, I used to think to myself, I used to think in this paradigm, I used to be able to generate a certain amount of peace. And I can still generate, oddly enough, the same amount of peace, just with different justifications. But at this level, to where I'm at now with it, it used to be a time where there was a certain amount of peace over garbage like this. Like, Kevin is a immoral, theologically confused, slandering, lying, trash rat, unrighteous judge, sack of subhuman shit, completely confused about his soteriology and sending out a bunch of confusing teachings every time he opens his dumb fucking mouth. Now, I used to, in the day, find a bit of cathartic peace knowing this idiot, this raving, arrogant sack of subhuman shit is posturing himself as a teacher, and teachers get a harsher judgment on the last day. They see how he's wanting to field these questions. He's a grand apologist. He's teaching proper doctrine in his view, which is just contradictory horse shit. But in his mind, he's teaching all this stuff. And not only is he teaching it, he's using it as a leverage point to attack, defame, and even slander other people because he loses or gets embarrassed or, gets backed into a corner and has no morals, has no righteousness. And why would he? He believes that he's just going to be sanctified by what God does. He doesn't have to do anything. He's a monergist. God is doing all the work. So if Kevin fucks up and does some retarded, immoral, unrighteous thing, well, fuck it. It's God's fault. He failed to sanctify him, because it's up to God to make sure that Kevin is sanctified sufficiently unto justified salvation.
And wasn't monergism condemned centuries ago?
It's been condemned every century. Monergism, you have to find the fringe threads stretching back to Augustine, who really, honestly, is not even monergist in the modern sense of the Reformed version. You threads through Erasmus and Luther and Calvin and, and Wesley and the Anglicans and the Presbyterians. And anyway, it's been a fringe, annoying thread all throughout Christian antiquity, for sure. And there's always some new retard to pop up and
try and bring
propose
it back.
Really, honestly, chaos. Calvinism, honestly, at the meta, isn't it just insulting to the Christian God? Is it not just absolutely revolting and insulting to any idea what the Christian God might be?
Oh, it's not just insulting. It's like, it's one of the few things where it's like, I can look at somebody and say, what you believe is wrong, but I also can kind of see where you come from it. But this is one of those few theologies where I say, how fucking dare you?
Yeah.
How fucking dare you say something like that about God?
It is obtuse and offensive in many different spectrums, from many different versions of the faith. Really, honestly, as much as free grace steals from Calvinism, they hate Calvinism intensely. They're the bastard child of Calvinism. It's like what is it? Like a Venom Carnage situation where the fucking offspring wants to off the father or something like that. The comic book reference. I read comic books when I was a kid. I remember that. I still got some of those old like 30-year ago Maximum Carnage Spider-Man comics. I still got some of those. Those might be worth some money. I might dig those out.
Oh, that's funny, dude. That's really funny.
Yeah, I was all about that when I was a kid. Okay, anyway, back to this embarrassing nonsense. I will be right back. But you can talk over it, by the way, Chaos, if you feel you want. I kind of lowered the volume just a little bit. So
thanks.
Obvious that they were not of us, right? So I'm not your typical free grace, right? I don't believe you can utterly apostatize and everything's hunky-dory. No, I don't give apostates assurance of salvation, and apostates that die in that state certainly did not go to heaven. They would go right to hell, okay? That's my view. And I think I can support that biblically, especially with passages like John 10. All right. But I appreciate you being here. So I hope that was clear. I think you can be ignorant on the Trinity, but I think if someone
Whether he has good intentions or not is not really the point, Will Freeman.
Eternal, and you still reject it.
That's what I would say about it.
And you're saved because you have a false God. It'd be like a Muslim claiming that they've been born again. Let's say that someone was a Muslim, then they supposedly converted to Christianity, but they still deny that Jesus is God, right? And then they fundamentally also deny the Trinity things. But they have come to the belief that Jesus died on a cross. Well, what Jesus died on a cross, was it the God man or was it just a man? That's a salvation issue. Man can't save you. God alone is the Savior. The Old Testament makes that abundantly clear. And the New Testament calls Jesus the Savior. So who's Jesus? Well, obviously, he's God.
Sure,
God
still.
alone is the Savior, and Jesus claims to be the Savior. He's God, right? So that's the Jesus that saves. Okay, can't be anyone else. All right. So let's go over a few verses first, and then we can get into Smoky Aints, bad arguments. Okay. Hello, welcome to the stream. So here we go. We got John. Actually, sorry. So if God is truth revealing and the standard of all truth, then what he says has to be true. Psalm 119:60, the entirety of your word is true, and every one of your righteous judgments endures forever.
What's your point?
6, Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. So Jesus is claiming to be the truth. So therefore, what he says is true, right? John 8:32, and you shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free, because Christ is the truth. God cannot lie. Numbers 23:19. God is not a man that he should lie.
This is embarrassing. This is so fucking embarrassing.
Immutable things, which means unchangeable things, in which it is impossible for God to lie. So that means if he has revealed something through his word, it is necessarily true, because the Bible says it is impossible for God to lie.
So what?
You can count on it being true. You can hold to that.
This is ontology, Kevin, not epistemology. How many times do me or Smokey and others have to say it? It's ridiculous, man.
Everyone has a worldview, and every worldview has a foundation. Now, you can examine all the different foundations of every worldview, and you'll quickly find out, that only Christianity really has the justification for a sound and consistent worldview. And I know
I agree with that statement, but I don't agree with how you're approaching this.
Yeah, that's right. Only the God of the Bible is perfect. Only the God of the Bible has the attributes which are necessary for the laws of logic, intelligibility, and he is powerful enough to sustain all this reality. He has to be all-knowing, all-powerful, all these things. No other gods have these attributes. Every other god or gods from other religions or whatever fall short in at least one of these categories. Only the God of the Bible meets the requirements to be what is the necessary precondition for everything else.
Okay, but none of this.
See, this is, I'm so fucking sick of this garbage tag argument that just gets, bubbled up from like the Darth Dawkins followers or, the Van Tillians or the Bonsons and stuff. And it's just this old, tired, dead, retarded horse. Let me be very clear. There are a trillion possibilities of a deity, by the way, or an identity of a deity transcendental to reality, that could have grounded everything and not give a fuck about you at all, nor any personal relationship with you, and is allowing lower high-level entities to actually interact with you, claiming to be ultimate and absolute. And you could have an ultimate that started everything, got it going, put a bunch of different tiers of creatures in it, and then just sat back and watched and has no interest in making itself known to you. And if it had no interest in making itself known to you, you'd never know it's there.
Even deism can account for that to a certain extent. I mean, obviously, I still have other problems.
The claim that the Christian God is the only possible extrapolation from a transcendental argument is pure horse shit. And
or at least
Kevin should know that, but he doesn't. He's just regurgitating trash script he got from some pre-supper degenerate. That's all he's doing. He does not even have the brain case nor the brain capacity to actually weigh out nor even understand what the hell he's even saying.
Now, I will say to a certain extent, I think the argument could be presented better because, I don't necessarily think that the transcendental argument doesn't work, but I do think they need to present it differently.
It cannot stand on its own to point to the Christian God. It just cannot. In fact, Freeman and I, during our debate on Math Pig's channel over there earlier, we came across that exact thing where Freeman was questioning me. And I was talking about how a transcendental argument, I believe I said it during this debate, the transcendental argument can point to a deity. It can give a grounding in the transcendental constants all being consistent and arranged in perfect harmony with each other, and therefore must lead to a mind. That's fine. But in terms of immediately and absolutely deductively demanding that points to the Christian God and the Christian God only,
No, of course not.
not only epistemically dishonest, it's just outright garbage.
Right, because while I do believe it points to the Christian God with help, I don't believe it does it on its own. Because ultimately, it's like, does it kind of go against pagan gods? Absolutely. Because like Zeus or Athena and all them, they're not, and so on. So obviously, it would not work for a pagan god. I would argue that it's a great polemic against paganism, but because that's kind of funny. Like, I actually developed an argument against Greek paganism the other day. But I'll tell you about it later. Just remind me about that later. But so I would say it's like it could still work with the God of Islam on the surface. You just have to make other arguments. But I agree. It's like it's not that
if you want the Christian God out of the tag, first of all, you won't be able to do that independently. But if you want it part and parcel of the equation, then the tag at least gives you strong epistemic warrant for a transcendental mind that is non-material and non-physical and non-temporal. That's fine. But now you are going to have to do something else entirely to point to the idea that the Christian claim stands above epistemically any other.
Right. And that's why I also agree that even though I think it's a helpful argument,
by the way,
it's not
guess
enough.
Guess what else? Guess what other God the transcendental argument points to easily?
Jewish God?
Fucking Allah.
Right.
The Muslims use tag all the fucking time.
Right. I mean, even the Muslims could do that and use that. So obviously, that's why I would say if you're going to say that the Muslim God doesn't work, you have to find other arguments to help it out. The tag argument cannot prove Christianity on its own. So I don't know. This is just, it's embarrassing. And he keeps saying like God is the foundation of truth. He can't lie. And it's like, this is dealing with an objective foundation, not how people know it. Because the thing I also say about that is it may actually be a good thing that humanity can't be certain, because false certainty often leads to complacency, and complacency leads to a lot of bad consequences.
Let me try a demonstration. And this is for the real slow kids in the room. Okay. This is the type of shit you do, like, I don't know, grade school or something to get a kid understanding basically about the subjective metrics of human epistemology. I'll do this real simple. Maybe this is so simple, even numb brain Kevin will be able to get it. If you're standing in front of me, Chaos, and there's another person standing to the left of me, and I hold my fingers up like this, what are you seeing? You're seeing me hold up 2 fingers, right? But now what if I do this and you're standing over there? So I twist my hand. So now this is what you're seeing. Now what do you see?
1 finger.
Even a fucking preschooler can follow that as to how there are limitations to the subjective interpretation of fallible agents, of which everyone in reality is.
Right.
Your epistemology is no more infallible than the guy across the room. And it's recognizing that epistemic humility. Not only is this actually a meta virtue biblically, which Kevin would never fucking know that, and I'd walk him through it if he wants to. Not only is epistemic humility a biblical virtue, it's just a necessary underlying part of reality.
Exactly. Truth aligns with what truth is. That is what's consistent with reality.
And you know what they do, and they're going to do it. Kevin's going to do it too. They're going to go to 1 John 5:13, which they love. I write these things that you may know you are saved. And they see that no, and they think Cartesian certainty can't possibly be wrong. The Bible is not, I believe, and Paul would know this too. I would think the writer of this, or
Right.
John, the writer of this, they would know. They're not encouraging you. The apostles are not encouraging you to try to embrace some sort of impossible epistemic position. I don't think the Bible is trying to encourage you to take an epistemic position that is impossible for your subjective fallible mind.
Right. It's simply me. And plus, if you look at plenty of other passages,
when the meta virtue to the contrary is all throughout the Bible.
Right. And the other thing that's interesting is I think it's important that they remember the scriptures also say, examine yourself, examine your teachers, examine your doubts.
That's one of them. That's one of them. Exactly.
And
we walk by faith, not by sight. We see as through a mirror darkly. On and on and on. I could probably create a list of at least a dozen of verses that are not only encouraging, but even elaborating on the human's position of epistemic humility.
Right. It's like, it's just part of reality, because the thing that's funny is like a lot of time, and it's not even
you should have that, because if you already think you know something and you can't possibly be wrong, when you get new information that challenges it, you'll just deny it without even thinking about it because you already know you can't be wrong. It's the worst way to operate, by the way, folks. I don't care how confident you are in the things you believe. If you're unwilling to take on new information, you're only hurting yourself.
Right, because it's like this is part of some of the things I've had with Catholic apologists and Orthodox apologists when dealing with the concept of Mary's supposed perpetual virginity. Like, I bring up some new arguments against like the proto-gospel of James, like like the story of Herod. It says the unaliving of the children in Bethlehem. I don't know if you're allowed to say the K word here on YouTube.
I don't care. Say whatever you want. I haven't gotten banned yet.
Oh, okay. I just don't want to get you censored. But anyways, it showed that in response to the unaliving of the children of Bethlehem, that Mary hid Jesus in an ox stall. But the problem is, in order to make that work, you have to presuppose that it's a secondary detail. You have to presuppose a minimized delay on King Herod's part, and you have to presuppose a maximized delay on Joseph and Mary's part, despite the fact that King Herod doesn't know that Joseph and Mary have been warned, but Joseph does know that King Herod is coming for Jesus. So it's like the much more natural assumption is that the proto-gospel of James account here is unreliable.
Spot on. All right.
And if anyone ever wants to come in and challenge me on that,
I'll be right back.
Atheist or whoever, you're welcome to do that.
Oh, okay? Miss G.
I will pin the link. Let me get into
Miss G is here. You showed up. Hey, good to see you. Let me throw you a wrench while you're down there. Add as moderator. There we go. Beautiful. Good to see you, Miss G. Thanks for popping in and saying hi. Appreciate it. Good to see you.
The link will be pinned. So again, if you are an unbeliever or a skeptic, Muslim, whatever, if you want to come in and challenge the Christian worldview, please feel free to click the link, and you can do that. All right. So here we go. So this was on His Humble Servant. It's a YouTube channel. This was a debate between Smokey Inked and His Humble Servant. Okay. Let's play it.
I'm just gonna.
Yeah, I don't care. Like whatever. You want to even open it up a little bit after?
After the fact. So yeah, just so Sword doesn't feel left out and rejected. Yeah,
I like being rejected,
accepted, and loved.
I don't like love anyways.
So let's just set the context. I think behind this is talking about the nature of knowledge, infallibility, and certainty in the context of the discussion we had yesterday, which was between the Eastern Orthodox folks and the Christians. So I think, Smokey, we'll let you lead, and basically you can pose.
Let me level set. Okay, go ahead.
I'll let you guys
go to. Yeah, what I'm going to go to, because Smokey does not agree on divine revelation from his, if I'm not mistaken, atheistic position. So the call yesterday.
Atheist, but okay, that's fine.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, so Smokey claims to be agnostic, and that position just simply doesn't exist. It really doesn't. There is no such thing as neutrality towards God, because an agnostic is someone who claims to suspend judgment on whether God is true or not.
Okay, you're misunderstanding the point, dude.
There is no God. Romans 1 makes it quite clear that God has made himself evident to every human being through creation. That God people know he exists but refuse to acknowledge him as creator and instead worship the creation. Right? So there's no such thing as an agnostic or an atheist. These people are people who realize that there's a God, hate that idea, and then suppress the truth in unrighteousness, and then claim they don't they refuse to believe that God exists because they've deluded themselves into that position. No one is born an atheist. An atheist is a dumb person, and I'm not talking about like math, like like book smart. I'm just talking about
This
dumb.
is embarrassing, dude.
They want to reject reality and hold to something that is irrational. So you can be a very smart person like Richard Dawkins, but yet be very, very, very stupid when it comes to fundamental issues like morality, logic, reason. And good to see you, Honesty Angel. Hello, hello. So yeah, so Smokey, don't let him fool you. He's not an agnostic. There's no such thing as neutrality towards God. You either submit to him in belief and you become a child, or you are in rebellion to him and you are a rebel. Okay, no such thing as neutrality.
Oh my God, you're not understanding it at all.
Agnostic, universal theist. It's but it's not really what I'm here to discuss.
Again, also Romans chapter 8 says to be carnally minded is to be at enmity with God. So Smokey,
the difference between saying that someone is agnostic and saying that you're either with or against God. An agnostic is someone who says, I don't know whether or not God exists. That doesn't mean that they are neutral on the terms of God. It just means they don't know if he exists or not. So come on, man. This is ridiculous.
If I look at
this is embarrassing, bro.
Why is it doing that? That is bizarre. How do I
this is absolutely embarrassing.
Weird. Hold on, hang on. Let me see. Thanks for showing me that. Let me know if this is better.
And I'm a Christian. It's like, bro, come on.
Has it changed?
What are you doing here?
Is it different now? Has it changed? No. No change. Wow. That sucks. Why on earth is it doing that? Hang on a second, guys. I'll fix it. Bizarre. Okay. Hold on. I'll fix it.
Man, please. This is embarrassing.
All right, let's see if that makes it better. There.
Dude, this is so hard to watch. This is really hard to watch.
That's it. Okay, good. All right, we solved it. That is so bizarre. It's so backwards on my screen. That doesn't even make sense.
Like your stupid claims.
All right, thanks, Doki. And welcome to stream. Good to see you, man. Where have you been? All right, let's get into it.
And that's where I want to start today. Because the caller stated we could know nothing for certain. So would you agree that we cannot certainly know?
That was actually kind of back to my original point of the whole like interpreting hermeneutically things that do or don't comport to reality. Like, see, because he reads Romans 1 and he interprets it away. The hermeneutical principle of, am I interpreting this in a way that actually comports to reality and is internally coherent? It never crosses his mind. He's just going to go, I look at it, I read this, and this is how I read it, and this is the only way to read it, and this has to be correct.
It's so stupid. Oh my God.
Already his epistemic foundation not only is bankrupt on the base, but then what it gets to is even worse. Because now he's claiming every single person on earth has objective epistemic certainty. That is insane. That is a truly insane claim to make.
It is
because of how you choose to interpret Romans 1. That is right.
And he doesn't seem to understand what it means when it says you're either with me or against me. This isn't about belief, you idiot. This is about whether or not you apply God's practices and believe. You can believe that there is no God, yes, and you can be an agnostic and say, I don't know if there's a God. Nobody's saying that it means you're neutral on terms of being a God. Obviously, if you say, I don't know if there is a God, then obviously you're not neutral in terms of being a Christian. But, dude, that's not what the verse is saying. It's not saying you're either with me or against me in terms of saying, oh, you either believe in God or you don't, or whatever. That's not what it's about. This is so embarrassing, man.
All correlations and representations of emotional states of God are analogical at best because of the division of reference point between a non-physical, non-temporal consciousness versus ours, which is a temporal consciousness, that as we understand emotions, we understand them in temporality. This is one of those things that you cannot correlate in a direct one-to-one ratio in anything in reality, as natural is true with the analogical principle of relating God. In fact, the God that can be absolutely and easily quantified here in this plane to complete and absolute understanding would likely not be a god at all. Things like Zeus, the pantheons and things like this, these easily fully quantifiable, almost humanistic entities, that are very, very practical and simplistic, both in their appetites and natures, are clearly not worthy of any consideration of transcendental truth. So they can kind of cross those off right away.
Even if they do exist.
Right. And correct. And correct. Even that. Even that in the instance, they're not even usually of the character, the knowledge, or even consideration of worship of humans. Kind of live in their own, existences in the higher planes. But aside from that, the capacity to understand emotions we only have at our own reference point level of temporal reasoning and logic. So any reference to emotional states of the divine are again analogical at best. Saying God is angry at something or someone is a far different, completely unrelatable at our particular position understanding of what that emotion truly represents. In fact, that's even true from person to person. No person feels anger the same way as another person. And certainly someone with the standard of justice and righteousness and holiness and so on and so forth will have a very unique emotional state related to his nature and also a non-temporal consciousness. So, they're fine. Yeah, I get you, Freeman. Okay. Well, man, this is excruciating. I'll tell you, this is why I had a hard time listening even the parts I did, because it's so...
Please, do we have to watch this?
Yes, it's. I get it. It is.
Do we really have to watch this? This is so embarrassing.
I know.
So, that's kind of like what I was hoping to broach, is that it's really a bad way to approach with opening with epistemology, is to just kind of take this descriptive aspect of local reality and use it as some sort of method of infallibilism, because that's not really about epistemology. Like, your best claim at 2 + 2 = 4 is based upon generally axioms, about
it's based on the reality of the world I'm in. Is there another world that you can tell me about where 2 + 2 doesn't equal 4?
Not sense perception. So
that's a law of...
And just to explain this, because I didn't really do it I don't know if I got to it too much in this video. This was a while ago too, this debate happened. But your claim of the proposition 2 + 2 = 4 is based upon the affirmation of another proposition, which is based upon the affirmation of another proposition. And all the way down the line until you get to a base level epistemic justification that is either going to be dogmatic, circular, or reductive. That's Agrippa's. I don't know, dogmatic. I don't like the dogmatic as much as I like the, what is it? What do they call it? Oh, God. Reductive, circular, and axiomatic.
Reductio ad absurdum.
Yeah. So there is you're going to get to a base level of your epistemology that isn't going to be able to be deductively or objectively justified. That's just how it's going to work. So when you're saying 2 + 2 = 4 and you're claiming that objectively as an objective truth, you have to understand you're filtering that through a whole bunch of other fallible epistemic positions that ultimately lead to a completely objectively unjustifiable epistemic starting point. So at best, you can say, I have high confidence that 2 + 2 = 4. And generally, when you say, I know something, I know my wife loves me, I'm saying I have supreme confidence that it's true. Do I know that with an objective level of knowledge like God does? Of course not. But I do have high epistemic warrant, high epistemic justification in my mind to justify adopting the proposition. And this is just how our brains work. We choose our value sets, what we prioritize, what we want to believe, what is valuable to believe. And then hopefully we use some level of rational logic to justify it, or we throw that out the fucking window and just say, I want to believe it because it makes me feel good. Hence free grace. So,
right. And I don't believe that it's never possible to have certainty, because if someone says there is no truth, it's well, if that statement's true, well, then there is truth. So that's one of the very few things that you can know with certainty, is that there is truth. But that's an exception to the rule.
Right. All right.
Reality. But
that's just what I perceive. Everybody universally affirms 2 + 2 = 4.
Yeah, but again, this is at the local epistemological level.
Yes, Smokey, stop dodging. Right, that's ridiculous. Is it possible that 2 + 2 doesn't equal 4? Notice how he doesn't want to answer this. Smokey, is it possible that 2 + 2 does not always equal 4?
See, it's an irrelevant question. Again, he's now reframing it again, as he's off to do, back to ontology. Like, ontologically and objectively, is this the state of, again, we're moving from our ability to understand and know something to, is this thing objectively true? Now he wants to reframe it onto, do you see the confusion?
Right.
And
It's like,
why this level of stupidity and ineptitude is exhausting to deal with?
yeah, just
Again, Kevin, I'll try to draw this to you again, your tiny little preschool brain. Whether or not it is objectively true that 2 + 2 = 4 has nothing to do with our subjective fallible capacity to know it with any absolute objective certainty. These are two different things. It's you're asking an ontological question to an epistemic conversation, showing again, you don't know what the hell you're talking about.
And if you answer, yeah, that's possible, well, then you have a problem. Then you live in a world of chaos.
No, you
where
don't
nothing
have
can be
a
known
problem.
because facts can just erratically change over, spontaneously. 1 minute I could be Kevin, 1 minute I'm
Again,
not.
this is just going to go back to the solipsism argument.
Oh
It
my
is
God.
possible. Let me do this. It is possible 2 + 2 doesn't equal 4 in the ultimate absolute truth reality. It is possible. It is possible you are a brain in a vat in a reality where you have been pre-programmed to accept that 2 + 2 = 4. There is a slew of shit that's quote unquote possible, even if it's outrageously improbable in our own epistemic justifications, which are all subjective anyway. It is still quote unquote possible. So what the hell are you talking about, Kevin?
I mean,
I
I
don't
would
get it.
say, as an objective truth, ontologically speaking, I personally would say no. I don't believe it is possible for 2 + 2 to equal anything other than 4. But
And
ultimately,
that is still your subjective epistemic warrant to say that anyway.
right. I mean, I still think that's true because we've tried to
You
show
believe
that
it's
it's
true. Sure.
because we've tried to
Believe
show
it's
that it
true. You
can equal
believe
anything
you're
other than that.
real in reality. You believe there's a God. You believe that all this means something. You believe that there's objective ethics. You believe
Right.
that there's transcendental epistemic justifications of the nature of a divine mind. And you have belief that that divine mind points to the God of the
Right.
Bible. And you have belief that that message is true and secure
Right.
and preserved. And you have epistemic justifications to accept that too.
Right. But in the
Many are
end, it
emotional.
is
Some are emotional, some are logical. Hopefully more
Right.
logical than emotional, but you
Sure.
know, we're a
Right.
complex
I mean,
creature. So
but in the end, even though I make that claim, it doesn't change the fact that I'm still a subjective agent.
exactly.
That's kind of the point I'm trying to make.
And that is where Kevin just does not understand the conversation he's even claiming to debunking.
Down can
Right.
become,
It's like,
become down. The sky can possibly no longer be blue. It can now be purple or green. 2 + 2 necessarily is 4, always. This is ridiculous.
Would the sky still be blue if everyone was colorblind? These are
well,
the types,
actually,
you go into like your philosophy 101 class, and it's like one of those questions you'd get like from your professor, like for the first moment, they'll write it up on the whiteboard. It'll be like, would the sky still be blue if everyone was colorblind? You have to sit there and look at that and cook in your brain. Oh, this is the type of shit we're going to talk about, type thing. Kevin doesn't think about anything like that. Kevin's brain doesn't operate at this level, and yet he arrogantly believes that he's going to tackle this issue. He doesn't even know anything about it.
and the thing that's even more interesting is I don't think he understands the nature of qualia, which is part of the. I'm sorry, I can't even get it out. It's part of the human brain that processes color. So qualia, I'm not sure if we even really see actual color. It could just be something that our eyes see, but may not necessarily be there. So the sky may not even be blue. And don't quote me on that because I'm not the most qualified to talk about qualia, but I'm just kind of saying that that's something that's
If our eyes had a larger receptive range of light spectrums, it wouldn't be blue. If
Probably
we could
not.
see infrared or, certain radiation rays or certain other spectrums, it wouldn't be blue. It'd be something else.
Right.
There is so much to be said about your sense perception and how much faith and confidence you put in it to the claim of reaching
Right.
objective truth, you should be ingrained with if you have any knowledge of this topic at all, you should almost automatically be ingrained with an awareness of epistemic humility. Should be. Kevin isn't.
Yeah.
Because Kevin doesn't know what the hell he's talking about.
Let's
But
keep.
he just listened to a few lame brain preceptors. And by the way, it's so embarrassing. This is so embarrassing to me. Kevin, by the way, hates Calvinism, right? Despises it.
He claims to. Yeah.
And yet has Calvinistic soteriology and uses a hyper Calvinist fatalist apologetic. Van Til.
Oh, dear.
The world of contradictions in this tiny brain case, it just absolutely blows your mind. I mean, Kevin is one of the dumbest cunts I've come across. I mean, really. I mean, and he speaks with such confidence, as if he's winning these conversations and these debates, and he's just making himself look like an idiot.
Yeah, this is just. I don't know, man. I really don't know how much more of this I can take.
Yeah, I get you, man. I get you. Yeah.
This is a self-defeating skeptical position where if you cannot concede that there are things that are certainly true, then you can't know things.
I
you can't even
won't
argue.
hold it
You
against
forfeit
you if
the
you bow
ability
out
to
if
rationally
it's too
argue,
much.
think, do any of those things. In a chaos world, nothing's consistent, so you can't know anything because everything is subject to just be the opposite, or contradictions are a possibility. Things that contradict
No
can't
one
be
is
true
claiming
in a rational world.
are a possibility.
But what Smokey's implying, where nothing can really be moved,
great.
well, then there's no such thing as a contradiction. This is retarded.
Relating what you see as local and consistent in reality. And you don't know that tomorrow 2 + 2 won't equal 4, but you do axiomatically accept.
See how ridiculous that is? You don't know tomorrow 2 + 2 will equal 4.
So again, the whole thing of the statement of Smoking claim contradictions are possible. No, I'm not. That is nothing to again. You see how he switches again to the point of
Right.
what is objectively true? Is there something that's objectively true?
Right.
From our capacity to know it. He keeps blurring the lines because again,
Right.
Kevin does not know what the hell he's talking about.
Right. You're not saying that it's possible that 2 + 2 may not equal 4. You're
I'm
saying
not making any claim about any absolute objective truth at
No.
all. It's
Right.
not even part of the conversation.
the point is you're only discussing how we process it.
Actually, I believe even in this debate with HHS, a couple times, multiple times actually, I reiterated this because this other retard kept coming in and asking the same ontology, going, "Is there anything that's objectively true?" I just couldn't get past it. He just kept asking the same damn question over and over again. They don't get it. They don't understand what is even being. They cannot parse in their tiny retard brains the difference between ontology and epistemology. I would even, for the sake of the argument, and I believe I did a couple times, say, I'm not denying an objective truth is out there. It very well could be. I'll even say I believe with a justified true belief that there is an absolute objective truth out there. That has nothing the hell to do
With the
my
point.
subjective methodology to discover it or know it, and to what level I can know it.
Right.
Unfreaking real. It just, again, almost everything he's saying is muddling these categories, and he thinks he's debunking. He's not debunking shit. All he's doing is showing he has no clue what the hell's even being argued. Like unfortunately, HHS. HHS is also confused this entire debate as to what the hell is even being argued. HHS wants to keep being like, there's things are objectively true, and you're saying things can't be objectively true. No, I'm not. I am not denying the possibility of an objective truth at all. It has nothing to do with my argument. This is your standard run-of-the-mill Christian debater apologist, ladies and gentlemen. Kevin is just a case study of the standard level of typical Christian retardation in epistemology that we see all over this platform. I'm just using Kevin as a good poking tool to really highlight it. But Kevin is no unique beast here. Okay. His particular brand of epistemic retardation is fairly common among the Christians. And you would see if you went back and watched that debate I had on Zonzi's channel, you would see that too. the people that showed up, I mean, the level of incompetence and ignorance just blow your mind. And by the way, even when I get to the point of asking them, hey, have you heard of this? Do you know about this? You know what they'll say to me? I don't care. They'll say, I don't care about new information that would allow me to crystallize and understand this topic more clearly. I just want to keep shouting my retard opinion. Guess what? Proverbs 18:2 calls you a fucking fool who takes pleasure in no understanding, only in expressing his own opinion. Okay? You're a fool by the biblical standard. So, anyway.
Then why are you arguing, Smokey? Because it's possible today you're right, but it's possible tomorrow everything you're saying is wrong. You forfeited the right to speak intelligibly about anything. So what are you arguing for? In a chaos world, nothing can be known, dude.
That since it has always been that way, it will be that way tomorrow.
No,
and you don't even know.
Hold on.
You don't even know that it always was that way.
Hold on. Oh, wait. We don't know that in the world of Earth, that 2 + 2 didn't always equal 4.
What I'm saying is,
get the last point straight. No, because you just said I don't always know that's the way it was. So was there a time period in Earth where 2 + 2 did not equal 4?
I'm not making any claim, positive or negative, to that. I'm talking.
By the way, I really did hate that he kept using mathematics as the mechanism here, because again, mathematics are an abstract transcendental category all on their own that may or may not be housed within the physical reality or transcendental to it, which is a whole different argument and discussion to even have. So like, again, he's talking about something as is an accepted, justifiable, believed to be consistent framework of reality. Believed to be consistent framework of reality. We extrapolate in believing that these laws of logic must be consistent, coherent, and work together in order for reality to make sense and exist at all. That's fine. But even that level of deduction even limits to our own universal local level of knowledge and recognition and sense perception. So there are tons of things you are trusting with no deductive epistemic certainty over in order to get to this claim of epistemic certainty. That right there should be enough to cause you to take a step back and be like, wait a minute, something's wrong. How am I going to base a Cartesian absolute knowledge claim on a belief, something that I don't know to be true, but I'm going to use that as the metric to know something is true? It doesn't make any fucking sense. Okay? Logic, epistemology just doesn't work that way.
Talking about the basis of the ability to know that. I'm not talking about which propositions are true or not true. I'm talking about the method of which to know what is true. That is so like that's not really.
Okay, so if I can't certainly know anything, can I certainly know that 2 + 2 equals 4?
Well, what do you mean by certain?
Well, is 2 + 2 equals 4 infallible?
Well, no, I need to understand.
Certain. So it's something that's established, something that can't be incorrect, something that must be true. 2 + 2 is.
That's not that. See. You see right there. That's not a thing. Okay. That's you again. That as a thing can be a thing ontologically. It cannot be a thing epistemologically. You cannot have a proposition held by fallible subjective agents, limited in their perspective and grasp of information. You cannot have something there that is absolutely infallibly known. You just absolutely cannot do it. This has nothing to do with, again, if that thing is true and infallible and absolute propositional truth, that's fine. That could be the case. That has nothing to do with your individual capacity to actually know it.
Always 4. You can be certain it's 4 because it is. That's what he means.
See, that's not an argument. Do you see? It's just. Do you see how he gives a circular argument to even justify this base epistemology? He's like 2 + 2 = 4 just because it does. What the fuck is that? What syllogism is that?
Like, I agree, dude, that's mathematically impossible for it to equal anything other than 4. But ultimately, the reason why is because people have tried to see if it can equal 4, equal 5 or anything else.
Right.
The reason why we know that it equals 4 is because mathematically it's not possible because we've tried.
It stands the current test of epistemic confidence in a general regard. Now, is it possible, quote unquote possible, that tomorrow 2 + 2 won't equal 4? Is it possible tomorrow the world won't exist? Is it possible that the universe tomorrow will implode? It's all that shit is possible. Is 2 + 2 still going to equal 4 after the universe doesn't exist?
Well, I would say, yeah. I don't think it's possible for it to equal anything other than 4. But ultimately, that's not the point. But ultimately, the point we're making is about epistemic belief.
That's your belief.
Yes, But in the end, that's what I'm saying, though. It's like we're not talking about objective truth, as you said. We're talking about how we understand it. We're talking about epistemology, and that's not the point. He's not, and that's the point he's not seeming to understand, as you said. Is we're talking about epistemology, how you know things. Ontology is what the truth is. Epistemology is how you understand it.
That's an interesting point. Volume contraction. You could add 50 milliliters of two fluids and get 96 milliliters of solution. Interesting.
Wait, how?
Apparently, it's a phenomenon known as volume contraction.
Volume contraction?
If you mix 50 milliliters of water and 50 milliliters of ethanol, you'll get 96 milliliters, not 100, 96 milliliters of solution. Interesting.
Well, but like, how does the volume contraction like make that work though? Like,
He says the molecules nest. That's what he says.
The what?
The molecules nest is what he says.
Like they combine?
Nest, settle. I don't know. Compress. I'm not exactly sure. It's not my field.
Oh, I get it. So basically,
says the molecules fit better with two different shapes. Yeah.
I'm not going to claim to fully.
I'm not a molecular scientist by any regards.
Yeah, I'm not going to claim to fully understand that either.
I'll take your word for it, bud.
But I guess
so. Like, I understand like which philosophical definition of certainty. Like, are you talking about?
By the way, I was on the Christian King's YouTube channel last night. And Smokey was there, and I was trying to actually start a conversation about this with him. Unfortunately, it didn't get that far because there's other people in the panel that wouldn't let the conversation happen. And Smokey also wouldn't shut up. He was waffling on against someone else, and then someone in the audience paid to have him muted for half an hour. So it is. You're right. It is insanity, isn't it? What do you mean by certainly? Right. Come on, man. An 8-year-old knows what it means to be certain about something. Give me a break.
Like every time on this earth where 2 + 2 will not equal 4. It's right yesterday, it's going to be right tomorrow on this earth.
So I'll reframe it a little bit then, and this will help, I think, kind of make the point, especially since you brought up sense perception, because you're like, you see that you're part of reality.
Guys, do you see how hopeless and illogical holding to a not God worldview is? Do you see how irrational this is? You can't argue for anything. You can't know anything.
Wait a minute.
He will admit that he doesn't even know if he exists. This is extreme skepticism. This leads to a performative contradiction because you're arguing for something that you're arguing you know these things, but you ultimately can't know these things. Your view is contradictory, Smokey. This is stupid.
How accept that reality is real, and therefore you draw conclusions and propositions off of that acceptance. So, would you say the sky is objectively blue? Like the sky is blue, absolutely blue.
I want to stick to math. What I say,
I know you do because it muddles the argument. I understand your math.
I don't like.
No, 2 + 2 = 4 does not muddle the argument. It plainly lays it on the table. That's what he's arguing for: is that things can be certainly, definitely known. Now, you want to go over to the sky being blue because you can show instances where, like when the sun's setting, the sky appears to be more of an orange or a red color.
Hold on.
Okay, but under north, because you
don't like
that you're arguing you know these things, but you ultimately can't know these things. Your view is contradictory, Smokey. This is stupid.
Okay. You know, you don't get to force Cartesian reality on me, Cartesian knowledge on me to claim that it's contradictory. I am never claiming absolute knowledge in any part of my epistemology. I say this time and time again. I have a justified true belief to propositions, not an absolute infallible certain knowledge that they are true. That is how epistemology works, at least honest epistemology. So again, he's saying, hey, you're claiming to know these things, that you can't know things. That's a contradiction. No, retard. I have a justified true belief to the proposition that we cannot absolutely know things. There is no contradiction. There is no incoherency. The problem is you're so ignorant and stupid and uneducated that you don't understand these differing categories of knowledge and what types of knowledge there are because you never even looked into it. So when you hear the word know or knowledge, you think absolute, infallible, objective Cartesian certainty. That's what you think in your tiny, stupid brain. And then your tiny, stupid brain imposes that as if that's my position. When I'm literally arguing the opposite. The only way there could be a contradiction, retard, is if I am indeed actually taking your completely unjustifiable, incoherent worldview, which I am not. I do not have to infallibly know that we can't infallibly know things. All I need to have is a justified true belief, evidence and epistemic warrant that leads to the affirmation of the truth of a proposition as opposed to the contrary. It's just a confidence claim. Everything is a confidence claim. And if everything is a confidence claim, then nothing is a contradiction. Kevin.
The thing that's
You see how he dishonestly demands that my argument somehow, which it isn't. You see how dishonest this scumbag is? He demands and pretends like I'm operating from a place of Cartesian certainty. Dweckl did the same dishonest scumbag tactic, pretending that my statements aren't epistemic warrants or epistemic confidence statements, that I somehow have to operate from Cartesian certainty like they do.
And that's the thing is interesting is like that guy that put up that one comment, like talking about like the 50 milliliters of water and 50 milliliters of ethanol or whatever.
Yeah.
Would that also apply like what?
See, but wouldn't you would
for that
think,
guy
if you were in a lab chaos and you're like, I'm going to mix these two fluids together and I'm going to get 100 milliliters because that's objective reality. And I know 2 + 2 = 4. And I know that that's true. And I know that that's absolutely the state of affairs. It can't possibly be anything else. And I know that 50 + 50 = 100. And then you add it together and you're like, wait a minute. I knew 50 + 50 = 100. I knew this. I knew this for sure. What the fuck do you actually know?
Right. And that's why it's like saying, if you want to say that 2 + 2 = 4 without qualification, then yes, that's a mathematical certainty. But if you add context to it, like you said, like, the guy that mentioned how if you add 50 milliliters of water, now you're adding a qualification to 50 milliliters of ethanol. Now it changes. So ultimately, that's why I say you want to say that 2 + 2 = 4 without qualification.
Yeah.
That's the best way to say it. Because certain physical realities might change how it goes. It's not because truth changes. It's just because that's how, it's just using their terms. That's reality.
And that fact right there, Chaos, ruins his entire debunk and also bankrupts his entire worldview. Right there. Just what you just said is sufficient to show again Kevin's worldview is completely bankrupt, and so is his debunking here, which he's so proud of for some whatever reason.
Well, 2 + 2 = 4 does not muddle the argument. It plainly lays it on the table. That's what he's arguing for, is that things can be certainly, definitely known. Now, you want to go over to the sky being blue because you can show instances where, like when the sun's setting, the sky appears to be more of an orange or a red color. Okay, but under normal circumstances, in a clear sky, like, no weather, like clouds, the sky is blue. But you can't play these games with 2 + 2. This math equation always equals 4. No exceptions. 2 + 2 is 4. Okay?
I don't like when people poison the well.
I'm not poisoning the well.
Hold on. The literal example I gave the person on the call yesterday was what I just gave you. I didn't change anything.
Discussing whether or not a proposition is true has nothing to do with the methodology used to discover its truth. This is what I keep
the
trying
point
to
is, right, the
draw
person
you
told
into
me I
that.
couldn't know anything with certainty. I couldn't know anything infallibly.
Right.
So I asked him, can I infallibly know 2 + 2 = 4?
So what got him here, honesty? Well, according to the Bible, the Gospel of John, it says men love darkness rather than light because their deeds are evil. So what got him here is his sin and his rebellion and his refusal to submit to what God has to say. That's what got him here. He refused to hold God at his word. For example, when he saw 1 John 5:13, where it says these things are written so you can know you have eternal life. That's God's wisdom. That's what God says. What he says is necessarily true, as I point out at the beginning of the stream. Because Smokey, for whatever reason, wants to reject that and say, no, we can't know for certain that we have eternal life. He wanted to fight against God's word, and he kept doing that. And then it eventually led him to the position, well, I can't know I have eternal life like the Bible says. I really can't know anything the Bible says is true. And here he is today in this nonsensical, self-contradictory clown worldview that he has.
That's what I asked. Can you tell me? Is it yes?
You can. No, I can't. Okay. So So God isn't the only one that's infallible, right?
You mean there's only one infallible?
Yes, God is the only one that is infallible, and his word is also infallible because it's what he has said. So when we speak his word, we are speaking infallible truth. When we read his word and apply it to our lives, we have infallible truth. If the Bible says that Jesus is the word in flesh, that is necessarily true because the Bible says it, because God can't lie. Yes, God alone has all knowledge of everything. and we can't have all that knowledge. But if God has chosen to reveal certain knowledge in the Bible, then we can have access to what He has revealed, and we can be certain that that is true, Smokey. Okay?
Infallible,
Oh my
100%
God.
of the time. What do you mean the God is the only one that can say something infallible?
I would say
Because I
God
would say it's infallible. 2 + 2 = 4, and that's
is
me.
God the only objective agent.
What do you mean by objective agent?
So he's the only one that can perceive things objectively. Everyone else is subjective and prone to their own fallible subjective reasoning. Would you agree that there's a category there?
Well, I would agree that God is definitely unique in his all-knowing nature, especially considering He created everything. But I'm not sticking to religion because you're not religious. I want to know about my question. Is
Well, I'm
2
getting
+
there.
2 = 4 an infallible statement?
Only in the local realm.
What's up, Ben?
Oh, and by the way, only at the level that you can perceive.
Well, as a person who's not a believer,
And an example of that is how different things operate in classical mechanics and quantum mechanics. There's a
we're
completely
not talking
different
about quantum mechanics. We're
set
talking
of-
about mathematical addition.
No, actually, we're talking about your perception of mathematics,
So
which, by the way, is
mathematical-
through
okay,
a language that you've constructed.
So let me
So-
get this straight. So hold on, let me get this straight. My perception is the only thing at play in mathematical addition.
Well,
Nobody
your
else is perceiving this
perception-
in the world.
Your
No.
perception is the base of everything that you believe, that you accept
So hold on,
axiomatically.
hold on.
That's not true. That's not true. My beliefs aren't based on what I perceive. My beliefs are based on what God has revealed.
Stop.
Smokey.
Stop.
See how much of a humanist he is? He always starts with him. Everything that he holds to, which he holds to in a self-contradictory way, he starts with himself.
Just
You can't start with
Just-
yourself. You have to start with beyond yourself. There has to be something that's sustaining yourself. You can know other things. Never
stop.
mind.
Please, I'm begging you. Please stop.
Oh, looks like we
Just
have
a moment.
stage. Let me see.
Oh my God. This is beliefs are not based on what you.
That's pretty bad, right? That's pretty bad. That might be,
Not-
that actually might be the coup de grace right there. I don't even know. I don't even know if we need to go past that. That right there.
I think I've seen enough. How about you?
I think this is the coup de grace. I think this is the end. I
Perception in the
think
world?
this
Your
is-
perception is the base of everything that you believe, that you accept axiomatically.
Your
That's
your belief is not a result of what you perceive. Like,
That's astounding. That level of ignorance and epistemic incompetence. I mean, Kevin would be laughed at by anyone worth their salt in epistemology that's even studied this, even just the first year. They would laugh at him.
oh my God.
At how stupid. Listen to this. I mean, really, I don't even think there's a reason to have to even go past this. This is the critical bankruptcy of it all together right here. You can tell right here there is zero, and I do mean zero awareness of epistemic foundations with Kevin at all. Listen to this. Let's just listen to this one more time. This is coup de grace. This is chef's kiss. This is over.
Mathematical addition.
Well,
Nobody
your
else is perceiving this in the world.
Your
No.
perception is the base of everything that you believe, that you accept axiomatically.
Hold on.
That's not true. That's not true. My beliefs aren't based on what I perceive. My beliefs are based on what God has revealed.
Oh, you mean how you perceive what God has revealed, you fucking idiot? What else is there left to say? Really? What else is there left to say now?
Dude, it's
It's not
What do
based
you
on
say?
my perception. It's based upon my perception of what is revealed. Are you absolutely this fucking stupid, Kevin? Are you really actually this brain dead? What do you seriously? This is it. This is the clip of the whole thing. This is
You accept axiomatically.
That's not true.
This seals it. I don't trust my sense perception. I trust my sense perception. This is it. What else do you need?
I'm speechless.
I don't trust my perception. I trust my perception of what God revealed. The fuck are you talking about?
I'm speechless, dude, and not in a good way. I don't even know what to say. I really don't know what to say.
Does this blow your mind or what?
Yeah,
Realistically.
I don't even know what to say. I really don't.
That's I mean, and he let this come out of his mouth. And it didn't even faze him. He didn't even catch it. He let this dumb shit, probably some of the dumbest shit I've ever heard from one of these so-called tarred pre-suppers. He just let this fall out of his mouth and didn't even have a second thought about it.
That is wow.
Mathematical addition.
No, actually, we're talking about your perception of mathematics,
So
which, by the way, is
okay,
through
wait.
a language that you've constructed.
So let me
So-
get this straight. So hold on, let me get this straight. my perception is the only thing at play in mathematical addition. Nobody
your
else is perceiving this in the world.
Your perception is the base of everything that you believe that you accept axiomatically.
Hold on.
That's not true. That's not true. My beliefs aren't based on what I perceive. My beliefs are based on what God has revealed.
That's fucking incredible.
That's
incredible.
Do we even need to go further? Because
I don't even think we really need to. I mean, no one else has popped in the panel. Kevin's there in side chat whinging, but he's not. I don't think he's going to jump in.
Dude, Kevin, if you're listening to this,
what do you say when you're in a debate with someone, right? And you're in an epistemology debate, and they're like, "I don't trust my perception. I trust what I perceive about God's word."
It's like I remember like
what do you even say? Like someone who's that
what do you
stupid, someone who's that stupid and incompetent and oblivious, what could you even say to someone like that?
Is there even anything to say at that point? I mean, it reminds me of this meme that some of my non-Calvinist friends have made about like Paul Washer and all that. Like, have you ever seen this? Have you ever heard of this movie called Race to Witch Mountain?
What is it again?
Race to Witch Mountain?
No.
Okay. Well, it shows like this scene of like Dwayne Johnson playing this cab driver, and then this girl in the back says something, and then he looks back at her like confused or something. And okay, so this guy, like, you know, he took this meme and then it showed him putting Paul Washer's face over Dwayne Johnson, and then him like saying something about scripture. And then it showed that girl like saying, "I don't agree with your interpretation of that." And then it shows like Paul Washer looking back at her saying, "I didn't interpret it, I read it." Like, it's like, it's similar to what this idiot just did. I'm
gonna let it. Frankly, I'm gonna let it play for a little bit because I'm gonna put a hot pot pie in the oven. But that right there, we're good. Honestly, that alone right there. Had this been a debate that we were having, this would have been the point I would have pointed to where he lost the debate. If this was said during a debate on epistemology between the two of us, and that's what he said to me, that's the end of the debate. In fact, not only is that the end of the debate, as in basically conceding you have no foundation for what you're even arguing. It's a general concession of the bankruptcy of your own epistemics, that you have no baseline to even operate from that makes any sense. So this is catastrophic. That's a catastrophic thing to say in a discussion like this on epistemology. I don't trust my perception. I trust my perception. God reveals something to you, you're perceiving it. So you're trusting what you're perceiving is accurate. You trust that you're interpreting it accurately. You trust that
and maybe you are
properly enough. You're trusting that your logic is working coherently enough. You're trusting that you know enough.
Right. You can't escape your own mind. It's like that's basically what that's basically like what Warren McGrew said during his debate with Matt Slick on Total Depravity. He said, "You can't escape your own mind."
No. This is that moment. This is that moment of that critical failure, Kevin. This is where you showed you have no right to be opening your stupid mouth on this topic right here. Honestly, this was the chef's kiss, really. This is the chef's kiss of stupid in this whole video, Kevin. It really
Smokey. You see how much of a humanist he is? He always starts with him. Everything that he holds to, which he holds to in a self-contradictory way, he starts with himself. You can't start with yourself. You have to start with beyond yourself. There has to be something that's sustaining yourself so that you can know other things. That requires God, Smokey. That requires God. Oh, looks like we have someone backstage. Let me see who this is. Welcome to the stream, Oxford.
Yep. How's it going?
Oh, hey, how's it going, man?
Good. What's up?
Nothing much. I saw you tried to join last time. I tried to add you. I was in the middle of a conversation, but you left.
Yeah, I remember that.
What's going on, man?
Well, that's fine. Well, I mean, the reason I don't want to change the subject, but I wanted to ask you something.
Sure. What's up?
Well, you're doing a debate with Matthew 7.
Correct.
And so, what's the what's the whole point of it? What's your position on it?
My position is that towards the end of the chapter, when Jesus makes the statement, there will be many to say, "Lord, Lord," And they say, have we not prophesied in your name, done many mighty works in your name? He says, I profess them, I never knew you. Depart from me, ye that do iniquity. It's my position that those people aren't saved. And it's Charles Jennings' position that these are people that are saved, but are just like losing out on rewards or something.
Yeah, okay. That's cool.
Yep. So,
well, I don't want to, I'll just listen to what you were saying with Smokey.
Well, what do you think? Do you think it's rational to say nothing can be known?
I think you're right. I think you're right. I mean, I've been looking at Matthew recently, and there's a lot in there because it really used to kind of bother me a little bit. It just seemed like it was strange how there's like, well, there's this little story here where he gets in a boat, and a little story here where he does this, a little story here where he does that. And so this doesn't, it's got to have a connective tissue. So I think you're right. It's talking about what you would call unsaved people.
Well, I wasn't asking you about Matthew 7. I was asking about the stream topic. Do you think it's rational to believe that nothing can be?
I had a real hard time getting this microphone to work, so I was not focused on it. But I'll listen to what you're saying.
Okay.
All right.
No worries. I'll put it back up. Here we go.
Which
Nobody else
can't be
perceives this?
justified.
So
Which can't
am
be
I the
justified.
only one that perceives
It doesn't matter. These could all be.
It's a law of reality.
Well, let me tell you. No, it's not. You don't even know what law of reality is. I bet if you just said that. That's not law.
Wait, so mathematics bends?
Your perception of reality. Mathematics is a descriptive language about constants in reality through the local perception that we can see.
I was very clear in my question.
Okay, you want to keep going to this math thing, which is all about whether or not a proposition is true, has nothing to do with whether or not we can know it with certainty based upon the axioms we accept.
It has
Because
everything
we're
to do with it. You
fallible.
can't tell me when it's going to change. Like, so, for example, if you say, listen,
I'm not
your
talking about
perception, the
changing.
mathematical addition, 2 + 2 = 4 is your perception. So I just want to know when it's going to change. Like, I
Let's
can't
try
really
that. How do you know it's not going to change? How do you know it's not going to change? Let's try that.
How do I know that the law of addition will not change?
Correct. Because God sustains it and keeps it consistent over time. Because again, so if 2 can become 4, or 2 can become 1, or 2 can become 0 or -1, then you can count. Right. So it's necessary for 2 to remain 2. It's impossible for 2 to be not 2. So 2 + 2 always has to be 4. That can't change. And if you ask, well, why can't it change? Because God says so. Right? Because God keeps it that way. And then if you wanted to press on like, well, how do you know this God you're talking about exists? Then we could get into that. But we have justification for why 2 + 2 = 4. Whereas in his worldview, he has no justification for why 2 + 2 = 4, which is why he has to say that it's possible tomorrow 2 + 2 might not equal 4 because he lives in a chaos chance world where nothing can ultimately be known. And therefore he is irrational. His worldview is irrational as well.
Correct.
It's because it's consistent in reality. It's grounded in reality.
So you're using epistemology to determine that, right?
Okay, let's try this. Now answer your question. Tell me, how do you know when?
Well, you
the law of
didn't answer my
addition will
question.
change?
No, you didn't. You're using epistemology to do
I
that,
cannot
right?
use the status of reality to demonstrate
You're
something.
not answering my question. Are you using
literally answering
epistemology to figure that out?
I'm using the actual consistent laws of this world.
You're still not answering my question.
That's
Why are you
literally the
talking?
answer to this question.
Okay, I guess you're just, no, it's not. It's really simple.
See, Melody, this is the insanity of his worldview, is that you can't count how old he is. Well, let's say Smokey's 42 years old, right, in a normal counting. But it's possible that tomorrow, 1 + 1 + 1 + 1 all the way up to 42 might not equal 42, might actually equal 50. In his world, you can't know how old you are because it's subject to change. It's chaos. It's garbage. But yeah, thanks for pointing that out. That's how ridiculous his worldview is.
Oh, so I can't actually relate a fundamental truth of existence?
Are you using epistemology to come to that conclusion
I'm
that
using
the
the
laws of
fundamental
mathematics won't
demonstration
happen?
of reality.
Is that
It's a mathematical
epistemology? Is that epistemology?
Bro, this is crazy. Bro. I don't know how many
Why
times I
can't
tell
you answer the question?
I'm literally answering your question.
You're
It's
not.
Does mathematics have laws?
Yes or no? Is it
Wait, hold on,
epistemology
hold on.
you're using
Do
or not?
mathematics have laws? Just tell me,
Oh
do
my
mathematics
gosh.
have laws?
Do you mind restating the question?
Yeah, are you using your epistemology to figure out that mathematics have laws?
No, I'm using reality.
So what, you see math, you see numbers.
See, Smokey's skipping a step, and his humble service should call him out on this. You should have asked Smokey, what is ultimate in your worldview? Where are you starting from? The reason I can know 2 + 2 = 4 is because God grounds it. His mind grounds these things to be true. Right. So we're not relying on our senses and our own perceptions of things to determine what is true. We're appealing to the ultimate. We're appealing to God. 2 + 2 = 4 because God makes it 4. Smokey, in your worldview, what makes 2 + 2 = 4? And you have no answer. That's why, I don't nothing, because that's why it can trash. 2 + 2 can actually equal trash. Right. Because you're irrational and quite effeminate, actually.
It's floating in the air.
Wait, what do you mean I? What do you mean I? There you go again. No, that's the question. What do you mean I?
Because you can only rely on your own sense perception.
So wait,
But you're
I'm
not
the only
getting it.
one. Hold on, I'm the only one in reality who thinks 2 + 2 = 4.
That's not the point. You could be. Everyone else could be a simulation. You could be a brain in a vat. You could be inside a wizard's dream.
Show it to me then.
You can only.
See how irrational that is? If it's possible I'm a brain in a vet, then what are you talking about? Why are you here, Smokey? Why are you having this conversation? If it's possible this is just all an illusion, you're in the Matrix or something, why even bother talking to his humble servant? Are you talking to something that doesn't exist? Are you wasting your breath? Do you even have a breath? Do you know if you have breath? How do you know you have thoughts? Wow. What a ridiculous worldview.
Verify which was in the limits of your own sense
Show me a person
perception.
in reality
And that is fallible.
Show me. This is what I hate. Show me in reality a person who says 2 + 2 = 4.
Dude, you're not getting it.
No, you're not getting it. You trying to pin everything on me when math is observed by the entire world, bro.
All right, would the
The
sky still be
mathematical
blue?
Mathematical addition.
See, here's the
is
thing. Does
observed
everyone
by
agree that the sky is blue? Of course they do.
Bro,
Would they
mathematical
still
addition
agree
is
if they
observed
could
by
see
the entire
infrared?
world. Just trying to talk over me won't change anything.
Everyone's
Mathematical
agreement.
addition is universally agreed upon. Mathematical addition is one of the
consensus,
most unchallenged things I've ever heard in my life. Are you joking?
First of all, consensus is not a method to truth. That's laughable that you even said that at all.
Yo,
But I'll let
denying
it
1
slide.
plus 1 equals 2
I'll
is a
let it
denial
slide.
of reality because you can't demonstrate anything.
You
else.
can't
All you're doing is
answer.
how
you
I
can't-
did answer you.
okay.
It's a observable law
Yeah,
of
no.
reality.
Dude, that's not a thing. That's not a thing. You're using
Are
an
you breathing?
axiom
Are
to
you
even
breathing?
say that.
Are you breathing? Are you breathing right now?
Do you know what an axiom is?
Are you breathing right now?
Do you know what an axiom is?
Are you breathing right now?
Oh, gosh. I have a justified true belief that I'm breathing right now.
So you don't know if you're breathing.
No, I have a justified true belief. I'm not infallible. I'm not God. You seem to think you are.
This is how stupid this is. He thinks you have to be infallible to know that you're breathing.
We're talking about in context of Cartesian certainty, dude.
Guys, I have to be infallible to know I just took a breath there. Wow.
We're talking about in the context of Cartesian certainty.
I have a justified true belief. You know what that means?
Yes, I know what it means. You believe based on reality that you're breathing, but you don't know you're breathing. Okay, great. That's all I need to know. I wanna hear it. You don't know you're breathing.
I accept that my base level of epistemology has to be either axiomatic, reductive, or circular. Therefore, cannot be definitively and infallibly verified. And since every proposition after that is built off of that,
But see, that's your mistake. Why are you building everything off of your fallible senses? You have to appeal to something beyond you. You have to appeal to something that can't change. You have to appeal to something that is all powerful. You have to appeal to something that is intelligent and omnipresent, all powerful. That's what you have to appeal to, is this mind that sustains these things. Because you're right, Smokey. If it was just you, well then, yeah, you couldn't really know much, could you? In fact, you probably couldn't know anything. But if you're appealing to one who knows everything, and because he reveals things and makes things consistent, you can know things. Who are these people? Well, his humble servant and Zanz are on the top there. Zanz is a Calvinist. He's Reformed. His humble servant, I'm not sure what his theological background is, but I'm pretty sure he's Protestant. And then you got Smokey the Saintless on the bottom left there. He's in Fantasyland. Yeah, but good to see you, Jay. Good to see you, my man.
axiom, that unjustified starting point, I can never know anything infallibly, and no fallible agent can.
So Matt, okay, perfect. So no fallible agent can declare 2 + 2 will equal 4 infallibly.
Correct.
So in our world, everybody observing 2 + 2.
Again, how do you,
All right, I've had my fill. I'm done.
Me too.
I'm done with it. Yeah.
I'm
No
done.
one else really wanted to come in. It was kind of a midday stream anyway. So
Maybe we
I'm
could
gonna
try.
pause it. It's fine. I might pick it up again later with another expose. I could always review the original debate too. That was embarrassing. That was just really.
That was just ridiculous. I don't even know what to say. But I was just thinking but yeah, like I was wondering if maybe sometime you'd actually like to do something like that, like host a debate on that kind of topic I mentioned earlier. Like, is the God of Calvinism reliable? And all that,
Sure.
because I would love to. If
Sure.
you have if you have any Calvinist friends that might like to debate that, I would love, because
I'm sure I could dig up a couple. Yeah.
because I honestly think I could. I'm pretty sure I could eviscerate any idea that they could use. Because when I debated that other friend of yours the other day, and he kept using that stupid creature versus creator distinction, and I'm like, it doesn't touch causation. Responsibility is directly tied to causation.
Yeah.
And since your creator versus creature distinction can't touch causation or change it, it's useless.
Right.
It's so stupid. I don't
All
know
right,
why.
well, I gotta run, so I'm gonna close it down. But thanks for being here, Chaos. I appreciate it. Take care. I'll talk to you guys later.
Take care, man. I'll talk to you later.